What's going on, you guys? So today I wanted to talk about this theme of breaking out of this cage of normal. A lot of times we feel stuck. We feel like we can't really have this full voice that we know that is ours because we have somehow put our own limitations on what normal is supposed to be and how we are subconsciously trying so hard to fit into that normal. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, by the way. I've lived a life that is far from normal. However, still, I have put myself over and over again in this idea that I have to be normal in a certain way. And so let me tell you breaking out of that and how I was able to do that and how that started to impact me in a positive way. So first of all, I am an immigrant from South Korea. I moved back and forth from Korea to the US a few times. And then when I was 11 years old, I actually moved to the States. And so I had to learn English, and I came here really not knowing much of English. So that happened. And then a few things happened in my life, such as almost losing my mom at the age of 17, losing my dad, my stepdad, who I call dad, at the age of, when was that? 2017. So he battled cancer for a few years. And then after he passed away, I really had this whole awakening almost because, really seeing someone that you love and care about go through this really awful process of cancer and passing away, it really changes you. Anyway, long story short, that was a moment for me where I was like, wow, my life is really not normal and I'm ready to get out of this idea that it has to be in any way. But up until then, even though I had an abundance of experiences that confirmed over and over again that my life was really not in any shape or form normal, whatever that is, at the time I thought everyone had to go to college, everyone had to take the SATs, everyone had to get a corporate job. And this is what I grew up seeing in my own social circle, and I didn't really have that many people in my life that were doing different things outside of that particular path. It was so ingrained in my brain that's how everyone does life, even though that wasn't true. That was true in my reality with the social circles that I was around at the time. I also thought that it was very normal for people to go to college and drink a lot, which is what I used to do, party a lot. This is what I used to do. So it's interesting because we sometimes trick ourselves, nobody else, but ourselves, to think that certain things like this, it's normal when it's not even actually normal. Statistically, a lot of these things weren't even super mainstream, but depending on what kind of container you grow up in, you start to cage yourself and condition yourself to thinking certain things are normal. Now, the danger of being normal is that we think that to step out of that conformity, step out of being normal, it feels really threatening for our need to belong or our sense of identity sometimes. So then we sometimes cage ourselves in this particular life path or the ways that we think or do things, wear, dress, all the things, right? Based on this idea of what is supposed to be normal so that we can fulfill our desire to fit in. Now, the thing is, while it allowed me to fit in temporarily to these social circles, it didn't allow me to really get in touch with who I am and my soul's purpose and just all the different ways that makes me me. For example, I never thought in a million of years that I would become an author. This, if someone would have told me 5 years ago that I would be writing my own book on happiness and all that, and being a speaker and a YouTuber and a coach and having my own business, working with, these high quality people in the way that I want to. All of these things just seemed totally out of reach. And to realize that this was possible, it was just mind-boggling. Anyway, so I remember just even putting my poetry out there at the time, many years ago, felt so threatening to my ego, threatening to my identity because it just didn't feel cool enough. So then, over the years, I was able to really break out of this one by one. I can tell you so many stories on how I did this. One of them being after I finally got the courage to quit my corporate job, which is a whole different story that I can go into. I started painting a lot. So this was around 18. So January of 2018, I quit my corporate job. I was a sales professional at this amazing tech startup. It was a really nice job, but I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel like I could be my full self. I didn't feel aligned to my purpose in any way. So I quit and I started painting because at the time I was grieving my dad and his passing, and I just started painting a lot as a healing modality. Then I started putting up on Instagram because I was just doing so much of it. And then there's something miraculous happened, which was that I started getting all these requests for paintings. Like people were asking me and paying me to paint them different kinds of paintings. So then I started offering that more and more. This was a mind-boggling for me because I never thought in a millions of years that I would paint and be able to sell my art in this lifetime. Both my mom and my dad were actually artists by trade. When I say artists by trade, they went to school for art, but they never sold their own painting. So this was like mind-boggling for me. And when I started doing this, it really just opened up my mind. And by the way, within the first couple of weeks of doing this, before I knew it, I was getting invited to all these art shows as a featured artist. At one point, I was doing a giant mural at World of Dance as a featured artist. Like things just started shifting so fast, and all because I believed that I could. I took on the invitation from the universe and said, "Okay, I'll try this." And then I really owned my title as an artist at the time, even though everything in my cell, everything in my body, every conditioned part of me said, "You're not an artist. Who are you to say that you're an artist?" But I played into it. So then all of this happened, which really gave me the courage to go out there and do other things as well. So this is when I started to really go for creating content on YouTube. This is when I started to really go for becoming an entrepreneur and a performance coach. This is when I really started to think about, is it a possibility for me to even write a book one day? So it just started to open up my mind to what could be possible if I didn't have to commit to being normal. If I could really allow myself to step outside of this conditioned path, what is possible for me? And then the truth was, everything became possible. Everything became a possibility. And then all of a sudden, I was no longer on this path where I felt like dreadful and I had to go through life in a certain way. Everything started being fun. Everything started to look like a possibility. Everything started to look like an adventure. So I shared this story with you just in case there's somebody out there today who's thinking about doing that one thing, but it feels so out of reach. Doing that one thing and it just feels so like, everything in your cell, in your body, which by the way, is a conditioned part of you, is like, no, who are you to do that? There's a term for that, and that's called imposter syndrome. And that comes up every time we are challenging ourselves to step into a different kind of social identity. So that's totally normal. And I want to give you this leave you with this thought that it is a possibility, and that whatever it is that you feel pulled to do, try it on. Life is short. There's only a couple decades that you get to play and do all the things that you want. So why not you? Why don't you get to be amazing and powerful and creative and fun and sexy? Whatever it is that you want to do, it is a possibility for you. Hey, you guys, thanks for listening to my story. There's more to come. My name is Yuri Choi. I am a performance coach for entrepreneur and high achievers, and I love creating new possibilities and helping them really get through these different transitions and phases where they get to really own who they are. So that's what I do. Also, as I mentioned, this is my book. It's called Creating Your Own Happiness. And if you want to order this, you can go to creatingyourownhappiness.com and you should be able to order it directly from Amazon. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you for being here. And I'll be sharing more of these types of stories. If you guys would like, share with me down below what you thought about this. And I am so excited to share more of me with you this year. Bye, y'all.